We are on the back side of the greenhouse. It's cold, we won't be out here very long, but this is the post-harvest area for the main part of the growing season. So that's probably 4 to 6 months depending on the time of year, but we do a lot more production from the field during the growing season that we need more area for post-harvest. So we have one walk-in cooler out here, and we bring the one that's inside out here in the main growing season. Over here is our packing area. Like, we're not utilizing any of this area right now, so we've got a motorbike and some bicycles here, but in the summer it's all utilized. We do our packing there. Our bubbler goes here in the main season, and we actually have 2 salad spinners back there. One's in the greenhouse right now. This is our washing table. This is our greens drying screen. And then we've got some tool storage and tote storage and things like that here. So this is on the north side of the greenhouse. So let's go inside and check it out. Just a bit more context on the property. I have, we call this the hothouse. So this is actually a heated greenhouse. We don't heat it in the winter anymore, just because it's not nearly as efficient as this one. But we had been growing tomatoes in there for a long time, and now we do greens in it. So we will have this planted with salad greens by February, and it'll be in production relatively quickly. On this property, it's actually in a way adjoined to my neighbor's property. So we are next door here. We have my neighbor's place, which has a couple caterpillar tunnels set up. Lots of snow on right now. They're not being utilized, but we do have production there. So my lot here is a 1/4 acre, and then we've got about another 2,000 square feet of growing space there. This is the space between our greenhouses, and you can see it's filled up with snow. So our footings being 2 feet off the ground or our gutter being 2 feet off the ground is just enough space for the snow. So as well as the knee wall, the bottom of the knee wall there as well. So on the inside here, starting on the eastern side of the greenhouse, we come in here in and out of this space a lot. So we actually wanted to have a bit more wider area here for going in and out of here, going in and out of this cooler a lot. We have some tools, basic tool storage here on this side, things that I don't want to keep outside. One thing that's great about this greenhouse is we end up doing projects and stuff in here. If I need to build some stuff, I kind of use it like a garage in a way, besides from growing. So I like to have my tools in here. Got our walk-in cooler, which we keep all of our product. The neat thing about running the walk-in cooler in here during the winter is it actually contributes to the heat in here as well. It's pulling warm air out of the product in there and actually contributing to the heating of the greenhouse. We've got a little table area here. Usually we'll use this area when we're packing restaurant orders. So if we're just packing some totes and boxes, we'll do it here because we're close to the cooler. Coming along to our post-harvest area, we've got our dehumidifier running 24/7. This is a frost-free hydrant. This is the water, this is coming from my house. So when we set this greenhouse up, we ran a line 6 feet under the ground, so that's our maximum frost area in our climate. So the water coming from the back end of my house coming here, if I was ever going to turn this greenhouse off and not use it for a winter, I would just turn this thing off. But we don't need to because we're using active water in here all winter. So, but that's there just in case we needed to turn it off at any point. All the water comes in from this hydrant, then goes to a PVC. So this is all Schedule 40 PVC. And we have it gridded out to the greenhouse. So what we've done is it comes up, it gets teed down. So here's a hydrant here. I can tap into this if I need to water over here. We found that we didn't really need this one that much. Water also comes over here, down here, and then this actually goes to outside. So I have a water hydrant right on the outside of this greenhouse as well. I turn it off for the winter, obviously, so it doesn't freeze. And the water basically just comes along the top of the top beam, the main supporting beam of the greenhouse. And then we have hydrants at each spot. So here's a hydrant with a quick coupler. I can tap into that and water from back here if I choose to. And generally, if I have stuff on the top shelves here, it's easier to water from back here because we just have little stepping stools where I can stand up and water there if I need to. Those are generally the last places we put flats though. Kind of going backwards through how the line of our post-harvest works, we've got our greens drying screen here, and this flops down to clean it. So when we're changing a different type of green, we drop that down, knock it a couple times to clean it off, and then we bring it back up when we're going to dry a product. These fans dry. This is our spinner, this is our bubbler. So when we're processing greens get harvested, then they go into the bubbler. This bubbler agitates them, and it's like a jacuzzi basically. They go from the bubbler into the spinner. Once they're spun, they go onto the drying screen, and then the product gets dried. From there, it usually goes in the cooler for a while before it gets packed. This is our washing table. Essentially, it's like a big sink. We wash our totes on it. All this water gets directed into a little catchment bin below the bubbler, which gets pumped out and goes into a drainage pit on the side of the greenhouse. This is our packing area. So for the most part, there's really only one person operating the packing during the winter. You know, we're not doing a huge amount of product, at most $1,000 a week. So one person is enough to pack here. At times, once we get closer to the end of winter, once we go into early spring, we'll usually have 2 people working here. So there's definitely enough space in here to have 2 people packing and boxing things in this area. Some of our dry microgreen seed for the smaller seeds, specialty microgreens. All of our big microgreen seed is kept in these big bins here. So we've got green pea seed there. We've got sunflower seed here. Bulk amounts of seed. We go through a lot of seed. More seed. So there's seed storage down there and up here. This is our planting area. So when we're planting flats of microgreens, you know, we've got multiple flats spread out. This is our soil. So we put sifted soil into here, and then this is where we have our soil to fill our microgreens flats. All kind of conveniently located there. All the nursery flats and things like that are kept up here. This is sort of just, we have a computer here that sits here normally. We've got a printer for invoices, a little label printer that creates labels for our products. So it's a little quasi office essentially. This is where we germinate our microgreen flats. So you can see here they're just popping up, and once they lift these up, these are probably almost ready to uncover actually. We put some weights on the top of these flats to emulate the pressure of soil, and so they get planted, and then you'll see them all lift up like this, and then they basically get uncovered, and then these will go out into the greenhouse, and then 4 to 7 days of light, that will grow to a finished product. Little first aid kit, little hydrant in case there was an emergency. This is our soil sifter. So when we take soil from cube bags like this, which is, we use a mix called Sunshine Mix 3, we put this little soil screen on top of our soil bin here to sift it so it's nice and fine for when we plant it. So that's why that stuff is there. Little whiteboard for notes. We have power on both sides of the greenhouse, so we can turn on or off any of the lights in this greenhouse from either side, which is convenient. The power for the greenhouse is all here. So that's our panel. That's everything from the heat to the climate battery to the fans, and everything in the greenhouse is all there. Coming along, we have another door to outside here, which we never use this door in the winter. We pretty much just use that door. We've got our blower. We call this a greenhouse blower. This blows the air between the two layers of poly to give us our insulation. And what we've done on this greenhouse is we've chained them together because this greenhouse has an edge from how the poly runs. It's all one piece of poly, but we had to have a bridge between the two sections. So we've just cut in some basic dryer piping from like laundry in there to bridge the air from the top to the bottom. We have our circulation fans here. I guess I should point out that's our heater. We've got our 6 kilowatt electric heater. It's basically just a garage style heater, and it's more than enough to keep this place ample warm even on the coldest days, which we would get, you know, -20. I'm sure this greenhouse would be fine into -40. So we've got that as an active heating source. And we've got our circulation fans. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 circulation fans in here, all blowing one direction, and that creates a cyclone of circulation in the greenhouse. These are the shelves for our greenhouse. We've got everything painted with a outdoor paint, basically, to prevent fungus or anything like that building up and causing problems. We've created more vertical areas. We don't use these that often, but in times, especially in the spring where we have a lot of microgreens production going with the crop cycle at maybe a week and a half, as well as nursery stock, that's when this greenhouse is the most full. So that's why we've added these spaces for the times that we need them. For the most part, we're able to get our production with just the space down here, and then we'll overflow to that second, overflow to this third, and then overflow to the top level last if and when we need it. But we're not often at a point where we need all levels in this greenhouse, except in the spring where we have nursery stock plus microgreens going. You'll notice that the floor we're walking on is 2-foot pavers. I was originally planning to put a concrete slab down in this greenhouse, but found that I liked the pavers for optionality, and I'm glad I did, because I've changed things around here since we've had it. I had a raised bed all along here when I first made it, but I found that it didn't get as much light as I wanted it to, especially because we have this greenhouse in front of this, that it became redundant, and it was more economical to have more real estate dedicated towards production space that's making money than having a few things in a garden. Though we do have some of the garden space over there with the lemon trees and all that. We have water hydrants on every post. So these beams, these 3 posts here are all supporting beams, and I have PVC running through from that hydrant that we started at, coming through. So I have the ability to turn water on and off, and I have everything with a quick coupler here, so I can take this hose and I can go, I've got a quick coupler on the end there, and quick couplers on this side and the other side of these posts. For the most part, this one stays here because from this middle point I can reach almost every part of the greenhouse. But sometimes if I'm on the back after I've planted some, we've got another hydrant by the planting area, I can water from there, and we have a separate hose and watering wand. We also, this is something we added recently, is everything is quick couplers, which I love. I can quick couple off this one. This is a heavy form of water, I can show you here. Some microgreens prefer a soft spray, and some are better with a heavy spray. Just the heavy spray is faster, essentially. So with this, I can water all of my pea shoots and sunflower shoots. They're more of a robust microgreen that don't get knocked over easily. But the little microgreens, like the radishes and cabbages, prefer a slightly softer spray, and so that's where I use this one. It's called the Wonder Waterer. I get more of a gentle spray that doesn't knock them over, so I prefer that for the dry seed microgreens. than the large sheath microgreens like the pea and sunflower. So this is the intake for the climate battery. So we positioned it where it's right in the center of the greenhouse and at the highest point. So hot air rises, it gets sucked in through there, comes along here, goes back down. There is a fan down there that basically now pushes that warm air underground. And then it makes its way to the exhaust, which is kitty corner by the blower. Just circling back around, more production space. This is a little thing we take, we put in our balcony. We bring it in the winter. It's just some philodendrons just for growing for fun. This is my lime trees. All this stuff goes on my balcony garden in the summertime, or spring, summer, and early fall. But I bring it in here in the winter to keep it alive. That's why you see some of these plants. And that's basically it. Oh, one more thing I'll show you. This is the outtake. This is the exhaust of the poly. So that air is just blowing out from the blower down on the other end. This is my outdoor nursery. So in the summertime, when it gets really hot and we're busy doing other things, one of the challenges if you're growing in the greenhouse in the summertime is you got to water 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a day, even with shade cloth. We found that it's been better to just have the flats outside. And so what we do is we roll a shade cloth over top of this, and then this is an irrigation system. So all these little benches here are microgreens flats. So this way we can have our microgreens outside and they get automatically watered with misters 3 or 4 times a day, and then it's just peace of mind. I've just found that when you've got so many other things going on the farm, having to think about watering is just a hassle. But hand watering in a greenhouse on the shoulder season is actually a good thing, because it's a time that you can inspect the crop and see if you have any fungus problems. And each crop is also slightly nuanced. Like you notice how I had to water with a softer sprayer for the dry seed and a bigger sprayer for the big seed. So, but in the summertime, this is just peace of mind, because then I don't have to worry, oh my God, it's really hot and I forgot to water the microgreens. It's all here, and it's made it easier for us. Our primary purpose for this greenhouse is to grow microgreens. With the shelf space that you see here behind me, if I were to occupy each shelf right now, it would be 212 flats. We really only do about 100 a week, so at our net profit per flat is about $15 a flat on average over different crops. So let's just say at 100 flats a week, that's $1,500 of net profit per week. If we were to make it go to 200, then we would be at $3,000 per week. We could potentially make this 600 flats per week by expanding on some of the areas in this greenhouse and also double rotating each shelf per week, which we can do if we turned up the heat. If we were to make this go to 600 flats per week, then we would be at $9,000 of profit per week. Now, this place has the capacity for $9,000 a week. That, of course, depends on whether your market will bear that. That's the biggest factor.